Welcome to another video on the Giant Take YouTube channel. I am Josh and I am with my co-host Alex. We are here for our New York Giants 2.0 mock draft. This one, again, without trades. And then hopefully the 3.0 coming soon will have trades in it. But we wanted to get one more without trades just to see what we got going from rounds 1 through 6, right? Because I don't think the Giants have a 7th round pick. So without further ado, I'll send it to Alex to see how he's doing, and then we can get into this. Alex, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. Obviously, it is now kind of post-free agency, or at least most of free agency now. We're kind of getting into the thick of the pro days. So this is we're starting to see where the Giants are going in terms of where they're visiting, at which pro days they're attending, how many people are attending, who specifically is attending. So that certainly helps. And we got a couple guys here today that the Giants have shown interest in over the past several days. So certainly exciting. And, I'm ready to get into it. And we got mostly different players today from the 1.0. We got one or two repeats, but mostly new. So I'm excited to get into it and talk about a lot of these guys and who we think are going to go to the Giants in our 7-round mock.
So we can get into it right now starting with pick number 5 and then move up to pick number 7. Obviously, 2 back-to-back picks here in the first, not back-to-back, but very close to back-to-back picks here for the New York Giants in the first round. Let's start off with pick number 5. Round 1, pick 5 is edge KAYVON THIBODEAUX from Oregon, 6'5", 258 pounds. Alex, go into his pros and cons a little bit.
Yeah, Thibodeaux is an interesting one, right? He's someone who, it seems, has really fallen, right? He's really fallen. We saw, going into the 2021 NFL season, everyone kind of thought, hey, this guy is going to be going number 1 overall. Players like Hutchinson have risen, Evan Neal, Ike Ekwonu, Kyle Hamilton, Sauce Gardner, plenty of guys. And we've seen kind of a drop in KAYVON THIBODEAUX. I'll explain kind of in the cons why that may be the case. Some of his pros, he's got great bend, and he's really explosive. He's also got great power. He really is an all-around beast of an edge rusher. He's got perfect stereotypical size, and he is just a monster. He has all sorts of pass rushing moves, and he's pretty solid in the run game as well, and he can really do anything. And in our grades, we had edge rushers. We did an edge rusher ranking video, and he was our number 2 behind Aiden Hutchinson. I believe we had him as an 8.4 graded out of 10, and firmly a top 10 talent. I really like KAYVON THIBODEAUX. I think if he's there for the Giants, we would snap him up, and in this scenario, he was. But the one con with KAYVON THIBODEAUX, it's his work rate. It's his desire to play. Does he really love football? And I think that you can't really tell without interviewing him. We haven't interviewed him. We know the Giants have interviewed him. I think from the tape, it doesn't look like he takes plays off. I know some people have said he does. I don't think he does any more than any other player. That's just kind of my opinion on it, but really happy with this pick, and I was happy to see him available at number 5.
Yeah, and going into his stats a little bit, he has 84 solo tackles, 42 assisted with a total having 126 total tackles, 35.5 tackles for loss, 19 sacks, and also 3 forced fumbles in his college career. That brings us to addressing the offensive line, which the Giants will do here at the 7th pick, round 1, pick 7. Offensive tackle Charles Cross, Mississippi State. Height, he's 6'5", and weighs just about 310 pounds.
Yeah, so in this mock, at number 5, I was kind of, going between Thibodeaux and Charles Cross. Obviously, maybe you pick Charles Cross at 5 and then hope Thibodeaux, slides to 7. But in this case, Charles Cross is the last of the big 3 tackles on the board. None of the quarterbacks have gone at this point in the mock. Carolina obviously looks like very interested in a certain particular quarterback. At least 3 of them I heard they have on their top as a first round grade. And I kind of assumed they were going to go there. I didn't think they were going to go O-line. I was right. And Charles Cross was there sitting at number 7 for me. He is really a beast in pass protection. He's probably the best pass protector in this class. He's got great hand placement and length in pass protection. And he overall, if you want a guy who can protect the passer, it is Charles Cross. A couple things with him in terms of his cons. He's a little bit not intense enough in the run game per se, and doesn't really show the hunger in the run game. I think he's improving. I think last season he actually did improve from his previous seasons here in his sophomore year. And he certainly looked a lot better. And obviously we saw, this is kind of why I have Charles Cross mocked. We saw Giants O-line coach Bobby Johnson working him out at his pro day. We saw him working out at right tackle, and he looked excellent at his pro day. So someone kind of who's changed a bit with some of the rumors, and that's why I have Charles Cross here at number 7. And I like him a lot as a player. He's my number 1 tackle. I know that's kind of a bit controversial. I think he's got the highest floor, maybe not the highest ceiling, but certainly the highest floor in this class. I kind of compare it to a couple years ago with Andrew Thomas, who I think had the highest floor at that time. I think he's kind of similar, except obviously Thomas was more of a run-blocking tackle at that point in time. Obviously, he's improved in pass protection at the NFL level, but like Charles Cross a lot.
Moving in, you can't really do many stats on offensive linemen, so I'll just go with what I have here, the accolades a little bit. He was a first-team All-SEC in the 2021 this past season, and then he also won the Kent Hull Trophy. I don't know if I said that correctly, but basically the trophy is awarded to the best college offensive lineman in Mississippi. So that could be Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Southern Miss, but basically those are the main 3. And Charles Cross won that this past season in 2021. So let's go to our round 2, pick 36, another early round pick here. And that is going to be, we're addressing the cornerback need for the New York Giants. Last time we did it, I believe, at pick number 7. Taking Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Again, we've addressed it a few times. Not many people, or some people were not happy about that pick. They don't believe the Giants need a cornerback. We still feel that they do. So they go cornerback Roger McCreary out of Auburn. If you're seeing this, that means if you're seeing or listening to this, that means that our cornerback rankings are probably out there in the world, so go check that out because Roger McCreary is on that list of the top 5/top 6 cornerbacks, so you can see how we rank them there. But he comes out of Auburn, 5'11", 190 pounds.
Yeah, make sure to definitely go check out that video. Probably came out right before this, so definitely go check that out, video or audio. And for Roger McCreary here, pros for him. He is great in man and press coverage. He, sticks to his man. He's going to be primarily a man corner at the NFL level. He has good lateral speed and agility. While it's definitely important for corners to have a straight line, long distance speed, Roger McCreary doesn't really have that, but he does have good lateral speed and agility, and that's something that's important for a corner. He's kind of one of my draft crushes this year. I think he's going to go first round. I don't think he's going to make it here, but in this case, he did make it, and obviously we passed on Sauce Gardner. We passed on Derek Stingley. We may need a corner if James Bradbury is going. He might be already gone by the time this is recorded, so who knows, because things move very quickly in the NFL. But I think they pick up a corner regardless of what happens, and Roger McCreary is certainly a good one. His only couple of cons, obviously his general athleticism, ran a 4.5, 140, and he does tend to overcommit sometimes, get a little bit over-aggressive in man coverage, so something that NFL quarterbacks may be able to take advantage of. So Roger McCreary, great player. I think he's more of a late first-round guy in terms of where I think he should go, but in this case, he falls to number 36 to the Giants.
And yeah, going to the stats for McCreary, 111 solo tackles, 24 assisted, totaling out to 135 total tackles. Tackles for loss, 10. He has 1 sack and 6 interceptions in his college career. We now move on to the next pick. That would be round 3, pick 67. The Giants, I believe, have 2 third-round picks. This one, they go again addressing the offensive line. Guard Dylan Parham from Memphis. I think I'm saying that right. Height 6'3" tall, and then weight 311 pounds.
Yeah, so Parham, I actually found him or I saw someone talking about him on Twitter and how much he loved Dylan Parham. And I took a look at him. I really liked him. And then when he was here in the third round in this mock draft, I wanted to pick up an offensive lineman. I was looking at the guard position, and he was the number one guy that was left. And I thought it was really good value at the 67th overall pick. He's a guy who's very athletic. He's got great mobility. He's also patient in pass protection. He won't overcommit. And those are certain things. He's really a high upside guy, I think. He's kind of got the IQ, the awareness, and he also has the athleticism and mobility, which I think are probably the two most important things. Some of the things he does struggle with, his feet in terms of his technique in pass protection, and obviously he is a little bit undersized, and that definitely does affect him a bit in the run game. So a couple negatives there, but I think the core attributes in terms of the awareness and the athleticism he has down to a T. And I think that someone with the proper O-line coach can develop into a very, very good interior offensive lineman at the next level.
And not many stats, right, because we're going into the later round guys. But I have here 5 games started for Parham, and he was a first-team All-ACC this past season. Now moving to round 3, pick 81. Did we have this guy in our last mock draft? I feel like we might have. Linebacker Channing Tindall, Georgia. He's 6'2", 230 pounds. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, so he's a repeat from the last mock draft. He's another guy. I saw him here in the late third round, and I was like, this is a guy I want to pick up. Great value. And once again, he's here. I'm going to touch on him a bit quicker. You can go check out the previous mock draft if you want to hear more about him, where I go a bit more in depth. But quickly, he's got great speed. He's a great tackler. But unfortunately, he's not the best in coverage, and he's a little bit clunky in terms of changing direction. So he's really he can get from point A to point B quickly, but getting from point A to point B to point C to point D, if they're all in different directions trying to change quickly, his agility is not really up there. But in terms of his speed and tackling, he is elite in this class as a linebacker, and obviously played in that Georgia defense that was very, very good this past season. Didn't get a lot of playing time next to Nakobe Dean. Obviously, he is projected to go very high in this year's draft, so a lot of great linebackers that were there on the Georgia Bulldogs, and Tindall is one of those guys who has pure physical traits, needs to develop a bit in coverage, but like him a lot here at the end of the third round.
Yeah, and then talking about Tyndall, he had 8 tackles versus Tennessee in 2021, 3 QB sacks against them as well, and 3 tackles for loss. So that's something to definitely note, and that was probably his big game against Tennessee, and then also against Auburn this past season had 5, or not Auburn, excuse me, Alabama. He had 5 QB pressures. So that's something to note on as well. Okay, moving on to round 4, pick 112. The Giants go running back Brian Robinson Jr. out of Alabama. Funny enough, the Giants re-signed, if that makes a big deal today, Sandra Platzgummer, the practice squad guy. Maybe that'll stop us from drafting a running back. I don't think so. They could definitely still do that. But that's who the pick is here, running back Brian Robinson Jr. from Alabama, 6'1", 225 pounds.
Yeah, Robinson's an interesting one. I started looking at the running back board in round 3. I think round 1 and 2, you can't really look at that. There was James Cook there at the beginning of the third round, but I saw Parham there. I wanted to take and beef up that offensive line. He's obviously gone at the second, third round pick now, and didn't really feel that there was a running back there that was good value. And then you're getting into round 4, and I'm starting to look at the running back board, and I'm like, I'm not really liking what I'm seeing past Brian Robinson, excuse me. And I think Brian Robinson is a kind of a power back type. He's got a great build. He's a tough runner, and he's really, really powerful. So that's certainly something you look maybe to complement Saquon Barkley and someone like Matt Breida, who we brought in, because Matt Breida is not exactly like a grind and pound type of back. And Saquon, to an extent, really isn't either. And I think Brian Robinson kind of gives you a nice dynamic. His cons, he doesn't always find the right gaps. His vision is not exactly elite yet. That's obviously not something that's easy to improve. Hopefully he can at the NFL level. And then again, he's just not too great of an athlete in terms of speed and agility. He's really more of a power back. but I think he can complement this backfield well. And obviously played with Alabama, played against high-level competition before. I think that's actually something that's a little bit underrated in terms of scouting certain players. But I liked that he was still here in the fourth round. Thought it was decent value for him. Not one of my favorite picks, but I think a necessity that the Giants need to get done, assuming Saquon Barkley is not in the long-term future.
And for Robinson, 271 attempts, 1,343 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 5 yards per rush. We now move to, I believe, another name repeating here. Round 5, pick 147, tight end Jelani Woods from Virginia. Comes in at 6'7", 253 pounds. A very slim guy when you talk about a guy who's 6'7", being only 250 pounds.
Yeah, Jelani Woods is another repeat. I'll go through him more quickly. He is actually, I took him in the 6th round in the first mock draft, so I've taken him in the 5th round here. His stock obviously rose quite a bit with the draft, and I think it kind of slowly kept rising. I saw someone in the comments actually say that he didn't think he was going to be there in the 6th round. I kind of agree, so I drafted him here in the 5th round. He's an excellent athlete, like you mentioned. He's 6'7", ran a 4.6 40, and he's an excellent red zone weapon. He's got pretty good hands as well, so a nice pass-catching tight end, can do stuff in the blocking game as well, can block, but maybe not elite at that, but could improve at the next level due to his size. His cons, he's not great after the catch. So once he has the ball in his hands, he doesn't really get many yards after the catch. And his limited route tree, he's not the best route runner, and he doesn't really run a lot of routes, if that makes any sense. But, hopefully that improves with a more dynamic playbook in the NFL. But Jelani Woods, he's got the physical tools, and I think, with the right coaching, he can certainly develop. Like him a lot, a really good player with a lot of upside in the 5th round.
And Woods in this 2021 last season, 44 receptions, 598 yards, 8 touchdowns, and that was about 13.6 yards per catch. So exciting stuff there. A lot of yards per catch I'm going to look forward to maybe in the later rounds of the draft for the New York Giants. Round 5, pick 173, safety JT Woods from Baylor. He's 6'2", 195 pounds.
Yeah, we're going back-to-back Woods here in round 5, Woods and Woods. I really like JT Woods. I saw him at the Combine. He was pretty impressive. I believe he ran a 4.37 40. I thought he looked pretty decent in the drills as well, and I kind of looked a bit into him, and I really like him. I see him mocked more in the 5th to 6th round range, but I really like him. And in round 5, the Giants need a safety. They cut Logan Ryan. You only have Julian Love and Xavier McKinney. You didn't take a safety earlier in the draft. You probably are going in with 2 starting safeties as Love and McKinney, and you need a guy to back them up. And I think JT Woods, he's a strong tackler. He's got great IQ and awareness for a safety, and I think he has good size. He's got good length as well. I think he is just an all-around really good safety. Safeties tend to fall in the draft, right? They're not taken as high usually, not as much of a valued position, but for this pick at 173, I really like him. In terms of his cons, he's not the best in terms of change of direction, similarly to Channing Tindall, who I mentioned earlier, or Tindall. He's fast, but he doesn't exactly change direction, doesn't have the best agility. And he also plays kind of with a high pad level in pass coverage as well, so something to take into account. But Woods, another player who's kind of got some nice physical skill sets that hopefully can develop a bit more in technique, coverage, and overall awareness in the NFL.
Going into his stats, college career, in his college career, 113 solo tackles, 44 assisted, totaling out to 157 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 8 interceptions, and no forced fumbles. So we move on to the next guy. I think the final pick in this mock draft, round 6, pick 182, the hometown guy from Rutgers, wide receiver Bo Melton. We know him well, plays just down the street basically, about 30 minutes away from where we live or around there. So we got him. We had to get a wide receiver in this draft. We also had to pick the hometown guy if we were going to pick a wide receiver, being Bo Melton from Rutgers. So exciting stuff there. Alex, go into him a little bit here.
Yeah, he's certainly an exciting, flashy player. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. Thought he played very well at the Senior Bowl, ran in the low 4.3s at the Combine. Certainly a guy with blistering speed. He's got great athleticism. Not only is he quick, he's got good agility and good balance, something that's also important for a wide receiver. He's a pretty decent route runner. Maybe he hasn't run a crazy different amount of routes, but in the routes he does run, he is quite solid, and I like him a lot. In terms of his cons, his height and length is not ideal, and he doesn't really have, as much as he ran really fast in the Combine, on tape he doesn't exactly have it doesn't seem like he's that quick. He runs faster he ran faster at the Combine than he does on the field, if that makes any sense. A lot of people are saying players like Kyle Hamilton, right? He ran a 4.59 or whatever. People are saying he plays a lot quicker on the field. This is kind of the opposite with Bo Melton, and I feel like he plays actually a little bit slower than his Combine numbers. So something to take into account, but an elite kick returner as well, someone who could be used on special teams. Certainly helpful here in round 6, and he certainly has some upside with his athleticism to make it as a nice wide receiver 2, 3, 4, possibly, if he really gets the right coaching and develops properly.
And I don't know if I mentioned his height and weight, 5'11", 191 pounds. His stats for the 2021 season, 55 receptions for 618 yards, 3 touchdowns, 11.2 yards per catch, or per reception, whatever you want to call it. And with that, that concludes our New York Giants 2.0 full mock draft. We thank you so much for watching or listening. You can subscribe below. You can also check out the description or the podcast notes to check out, what to do, where to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Did I say Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok? Okay, that's all of them. And then, again, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Peace.